What is going on? What is going on? What is going on, party people? It is your boy, Coach D Brown, former big leaguer, former first-round pick with the Kansas City Royals. And, man, we back, man. We back. We took it down south, you know what I'm saying? Yesterday, we had a great time with Coach Coop over there at Grambling. Now we taking it back up north, man. We going hard, man. We're doing big things over here, man. Over here, we going to the Big Ten country, man. We're going to Spartan land up here. All right, we're going to Michigan State up there in Lansing, Michigan, man. And I was telling Coach here, I know all about the football program, the Classical Burses, the gosh, I'm drawing a blank over there. Cause my running back in the late '80s, early '90s. I can't believe Lorenzo White.
That's right.
Andre Rison. All right, we going back. Them type of days in basketball. Lord knows the Coach Izzo done. We go Magic Johnson. So I'm excited to learn about this baseball program over here. I want to learn about the Michigan State baseball program, man. So without further ado, we got Michigan State head coach Jake Boss joining us today. Coach Boss, man, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, D. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
No doubt about it. So, Coach, man, it's always a blessing, man, to have great coaches like yourself on there, great programs. But I always like to know the man, you know what I'm saying, behind the scenes, man. So let's learn about Coach Boss, man. Tell me a little bit, tell my listeners where you from, playing career to the coaching career to where you are right now, man.
Yeah, sure. Well, I grew up here in East Lansing, and so my family and I were big Spartan fans my entire life, and so I played high school ball here. Played for my dad in high school. My dad was my high school coach, but I wasn't. I was just an average player. I ended up playing at Alma College, Division III school, right here in the middle of the state of Michigan, and I had the idea that I was going to get a teaching degree and teach and coach, teach high school English and social studies and coach baseball. And had a chance to do that for a year and a half. And after my first full year of teaching, I thought, I don't know if I can be in the classroom for the next 30 years, and I love the kids. I was fortunate to become the varsity baseball coach right away. I was 23 years old, whatever it was. And love the coaching aspect of it, but the teaching part of it, I thought, I don't know if I can do this. So I took a job at Iowa Central Community College. I moved out to Fort Dodge, Iowa, and worked for a guy named Rick Sandquist out there, who's an unbelievable coach, an even better man. Worked for him for 2 years as an assistant, left there and went to Eastern Michigan University. Was a grad assistant there for 2 years, and then I walked right into the full-time assistant job. So I was there for another 5. So I was there for 7 years total at Eastern Michigan. And then there was an opening at University of Michigan with Rich Maloney. And so I jumped over there. I was just right down the road. So fortunate that I didn't have to move my family or anything, but worked for Rich at Michigan for 3 years. And then the head job opened up at Eastern Michigan. So jumped back to Eastern Michigan. I was the head coach there for 1 year, and we were fortunate to win a championship there. And then Michigan State called, and I've been here ever since. So I'm starting my 13th year at Michigan State now. So yeah, and it's been great. Being moving back to home has been unbelievable. My family's close. My parents are 5 miles from us, and I've got 3 kids, and they see their grandparents all the time. And I've got a sister over in Grand Rapids with her family, so that's an hour away. So it's been really, really fortunate to be close to our family.
Yeah, man. Listen, man, this is like you said, ain't nothing like being home, man, and coaching at a dream school and family coming to the games. And man, it's 13 years too, man. Congrats on that, man. 13 years anywhere, man, and a program like on a high level like Michigan State is definitely a blessing, man.
Well, I appreciate it. And I still do. I pinch myself almost every day walking in there because, when I was a kid, guys like Kirk Gibson, Magic Johnson, they were coming through Michigan State, and watching all those guys and just from a distance and thinking about, how cool would it be to be a part of it, and then you fast forward, 40 years later or whatever, and now, I've got my kids on the sidelines of the Rose Bowl before the Rose Bowl when Coach D'Antonio beat Stanford out there. We go into the football playoff, going to Final Fours, and guys like Coach Izzo and now Mel Tucker, our new football coach, they really make you feel like you're a part of it, and beyond the baseball, beyond any of that stuff, just the experience that my family's been able to have. I've got, 2 daughters and a son, and the things that they've been able to experience because of the job has been unbelievable. So again, I don't take it for granted, man, because, again, I wasn't a very good player. I didn't have many options, and I'd have given my left arm to be able to play at Michigan State, but I wasn't good enough. And so I think that helps me appreciate it even a little bit more.
Speaking of, man, wanting to play at Michigan State, and I mean, it's Power 5, big time baseball, man. So I mean, I know there's a lot of talent in Michigan, man, but when it comes to recruiting and picking these kids up, man, are you obviously mainly in Michigan, but how far out is your reach, man?
Well, yeah, we try to really keep a focus in the state first, and then in the Midwest. But with that said, we've got guys coming from all over the country as well. I think we've got a group of really talented freshmen that move in starting tomorrow, and the rest of the weekend, and they're coming from South Carolina, they're coming from Tennessee, they're coming from California, and Wisconsin. I mean, they're coming from all over the place, and so obviously we try to kind of take a page out of Coach Izzo's playbook, on the basketball side. If I feel like if we can do a good job in the state first and then kind of branch out, because, when you're playing in the cold, it's tough. It's not easy, and it's a lot different. And so, we try to get guys that are used to playing in the cold and guys that are close to home that maybe have some type of affinity maybe for Michigan State right out of the chute, because I think it means a lot to them. And then, that's part of the recruiting, deal. You sell what you have and to people that maybe aren't as familiar with your program, and develop relationships with those kids. And then, at that point they want to come aboard. So, we'll stay in the Midwest to start with, but, we feel like the Michigan State brand is one that can, really get us in the door, just about anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess so, man. So, I mean, like I said, I would love to know a little bit more. I mean, I forgot Kirk Gibson obviously played there, and if I'm not mistaken, my boy Smoltz too, John Smoltz, right?
Right. Yeah. So John Smoltz signed to play at Michigan State. He signed a letter of intent, but it was signed with the Detroit Tigers right out of high school. So he never ended up coming, but he's a big Michigan State fan, and we've had him back on campus a couple times, and to speak at banquets and things like that. Smoltzy's a great guy.
Yeah. I trained with him a couple off seasons back in the day, my playing days, and here in Atlanta, and everything was Michigan State, everything, So that's why I thought, what I'm saying, like I forgot, what I'm saying, but I know he's a big follower of Michigan State. So
yeah.
So yeah, man, we got awesome alums and everything, man, and give me a little background on the story of of the Michigan State baseball program, and I want to know, how do you guys, again, I don't do much research, but I know we talked about the Big Ten is taking a real step. You had Michigan in the national championship. You got I can't think off the top of my head programs coming up. You got Maryland and guys like that being added to the Big Ten and stuff. So how overall, how are you guys faring in the Big Ten, and where do you see this conference going in the next few years?
Yeah, well, D, I think for us in our program, I think when we got here in 2008, 2009 season, we thought there were some pieces in place, but at the same time there were a few, and we needed to complement those. And I think we did a nice job in recruiting. I got, still got my assistants with me, for that we came in with, and for the most part. And so, we addressed some of those needs. We got a little bit better. We had a chance to, we won a championship, shared a championship with Illinois in 2011. And that was the first time that had been done here on campus since 1979 in baseball. Nice. And then the next year got an at-large bid to a regional, which was the first time since 1980 that Michigan State baseball was in the tournament. So, and been kind of on the cusp ever since. We had a bunch of guys drafted and lost a couple guys out of high school to pro ball, which really kind of set us back. So, we're in the process of building it back up, I think right now. But, I think one of our, deals that I think at Michigan State is, we try to tell guys, it's not always about the glitz and the glamour. I think we try to take a more blue collar approach, I think, to what we do. And, I think it's about the people, and we got great people here that really work hard and put ourselves in a good position to do some things that maybe haven't been done on campus before. And, I think that's kind of the same way in the Big Ten when we got the job at Michigan State, we had just renovated, or we're in the process of renovating our stadium. And we were one of the first ones to get on board. Michigan had done it a few years before. We had a chance to do it. And then it seemed like, a lot of other facilities started to get, redone. Purdue did theirs, Indiana did theirs, Northwestern did theirs. I mean, you kind of go look at the arms race, I guess, in facilities in the conference, and we were kind of on the front end of that. And when you saw the commitment being made to baseball in our conference, then you started to see more and more teams winning. We made some changes in our conference tournament where we went from 6 teams to 8 teams with the idea that if we did that, we give ourselves a better chance of putting more teams in the NCAA tournament. And I think that's worked. And, you saw Indiana a few years ago get to the World Series. You saw what Michigan did last year or in 2020. And now we're getting 4 or 5, teams into the NCAA tournament, which was really kind of what the goal was. Look at what Minnesota has been doing, and forever, really, and turning out big time talent up there. And so I think the league's in as good a place as it's been maybe ever, at least going back probably to the 50s and 60s, I would say. And so I think that's that's a testament to the ADs in our conference. I think it's a testament to coaches that are going out and raising money to to redo their stadiums. And there are a lot of really, really good coaches in this conference that have been doing it for a long time. And it's good to see us starting to get some of the recognition for what we knew, I think, all along. As coaches, we'd be for the first ones to tell you that there's a lot of talent in our conference, and now the rest of the country starting to realize that. So that's been fun.
Yeah, man. Because you're not only getting cold weather guys, to come to these schools. I know for a fact down here in the South, Atlanta, and a lot of guys are traveling up to the Michigan States, the Indianas, the Michigans, to come play some ball, man. And that's when that it's some serious ball being played in that conference, man. So I'm happy. I grew up a Big Ten fan, especially in the football and basketball world. But even in baseball, I wasn't a huge college baseball fan, but I remember, late 80s, with the Michigans and, doing well. And, when I was a little kid and watching those big time schools. And so it was good to see, the Big Ten kind of, getting love,
Well, for sure. I think part of it too is, we've started to do some things with the RPI. We're starting to do some things, trying to work on the start date with the season and put ourselves into a position where, you can host a regional. I think that, and the numbers have proven if you're able to host a regional, your chances of advancing are just improved dramatically. And so, that's part of it. I think, people are starting to realize too that some of these northern kids can really play, and we're keeping some of these guys home and keeping them kind of in our backyard, and northern kids can play a little bit too. And again, I think the idea that just about every program in this conference can go a lot of different places across the country and find some talented guys and find pockets of areas where there's a lot of talent that guys will want to come to school, and it's turning into more of I think a national brand across the conference.
No doubt about it, man. So first question that came in, Bubba asks, what's been your primary way of locating the out-of-state talent that you recruit?
Well, there's a million different ways. It's crazy how you find guys sometimes. We've got a lot of connections all over the country, as every coach does, really. And so a lot of it is kind of word of mouth and make a couple phone calls, find out, who can play and where. And, a lot of it is going out to different, showcases and tournaments across the country. My 2 assistants in a normal summer spend an awful lot of time, down in Atlanta, down in Florida, watching these tournaments all over with teams all over the country, and so a lot of it's word of mouth. Again, sometimes there's a connection there. We got a kid from North Carolina who's good friends, had a dad that played football at Michigan State. And so, they were Michigan State fans, and there was a connection there. So sometimes that's, a part of it too. But the majority of it is going to see different tournaments, whether that be in Indianapolis or Atlanta or, down in Jupiter in Florida or Fort Myers or whatever. And then, just you see a guy that you like and you feel like might be a good fit, and you start to do your research on him.
Okay. And speaking of with the COVID, and you say you usually do, but this year has not been very anything usual about it, right? So,
that's right.
All right. So, what has COVID done, good, bad, for the for the next 12 to 24 months of Michigan State baseball? What has that done for you, man?
Yeah, we'll see. I think, first of all, telling our guys back in March that the season was over was one of the toughest things I think I had to do. And I think you go across the country and, I think most coaches will tell you the same thing. Now, at the time, we didn't know that our seniors would be able to get, their extra year back. We didn't know everybody would be able to get an extra year back. And so, I think the first thing that it did is obviously gives those seniors a chance to come back. We've got 5 guys coming back out of 8. Which is, I gave every guy the option to come back. We'd love to have them if that's what they wanted to do. And, I had 2 guys, one guy getting married. I had 2 guys that had finished their master's degree and 2 guys with jobs waiting for them. And so, 5 of them decided to come back. And so, part of that with the expanded rosters, really gives us an opportunity to provide a lot of depth, I think, on our team, not only for this year, but then moving forward, going into 2021. We knew that the 21 class was going to be a little bit smaller for us. And so for us in our situation, I don't think it impacted recruiting a whole lot. Now you go to the kids that, the 22 grads and the 23 grads, those would be the kids that we have been evaluating this summer. So had to do a lot of that virtually, had to do a lot of it, a lot of watching games on the internet. And thank God that we were able to do at least some of that, but a lot of videos being sent by coaches to us and get a chance to evaluate. And then, so I think we're in a pretty good spot right now. And I think we move a little bit slower than maybe some other places. We don't really recruit many, 8th graders and many 9th graders and things like that. I think, we want to be sure of what we're doing. I don't want to move too fast and make a mistake. And at the same time, I don't want to have the kid feel like that, he made a mistake as well. And so we take maybe a bit of a slower approach to it. And that's intentional. And I think it's worked out for us as well with the kids that we've gotten in our program. And, you run the risk of, guys getting hurt and guys maybe not developing. And we haven't run guys off. We don't do that, here. If a guy's not going to perform, I think it's my job to help him get better and figure out how we can get the best out of that guy. And so, so from a recruiting standpoint for us, I think we're in a pretty good place. We're certainly not in panic mode right now. We'll get our guys. I worked for Rich Maloney at University of Michigan, and that was the one thing that he would always say, when I was a recruiting coordinator, maybe we lost a kid to somebody or whatever. He said, it's all right. We're going to get our guys, the guys that are supposed to be here. And, I learned a lot from him, and I tell my guys the same thing. We're going to get the guys that are supposed to be here. And what we're going to do when they do get here is we're going to put them in the best position to win some ball games and to be successful.
Listen, man, you are you're like, from a Power 5 standpoint, you're like the total opposite of you talking about not going after the 8th and 9th graders.
Yeah,
and which to me I think is great. But do you ever feel like I know you just said, Coach Maroney has told you this before, you're gonna get the guys that you're supposed to get.
right.
But do you ever feel like, man, we could have gotten him if I would have, went against that, or you just kind of like,
yeah, I think that's what recruiting is. I think a lot of times you do cast a broad net, but I don't feel that way, with guys that are real young, because there's so much that can happen. And in our conference, we can't overextend our money. you know, like some other conferences can. And so, you know, if we make an investment in a kid and a big investment, and the kid really blows up and gets you know, gets to be a D Brown type of talent, you know, where he's got a chance to you know, sign in the first or second round, you know, then we've lost out on a kid. And good for the kid. I mean, we've never tried to steer a kid away from pro ball, you know, and if they get the opportunity that they want, that they're looking for, and with the number that they want, you know, we always tell them, you know, go with our blessing. What it does to us, though, because we can't overextend our aid like some other conferences are able to do, is it really sets us back, you know, sometimes 2 or even 3 years. And so that's another reason that we're maybe work a little bit slower. And when you see kids like that blow up, I mean, it's you know, it's great. I mean, good for them, you know, and we have to be a little bit more, I think, careful, you know, because we need to get that kid into school. We need that kid to come to school and then hopefully sign after 3 years of being at Michigan State. So, yeah, I mean, again, I think when you recruit, there's always the thought in the back of your head that, you know, man, I wish we'd have gotten that guy, or wish we'd have gotten that guy. But at the same time, you know, we get really excited about the guys that we do have coming, and you know, we don't throw around money, like I said, lightly. And so, you know, the guys that we sign, we feel good about. A lot of these guys are going to have to develop, and you know, 2 or 3 years down the road, then they'll get a chance to really produce for us. But we've had a lot of success with that. We've had a lot of guys that have come through on little money to no money, and you know, I think what we've done is done a pretty good job of developing guys and getting them a chance to play pro ball. And you know, one of them's in the big leagues right now. A bunch of more of them are knocking on the door, and you know, I think that's, you know, we're excited about that. So,
yeah, you know, I get to thinking of something like that, and I remember a dirty Michigan State starting pitcher, my boy Mark Mulder, right? Mark
Mulder did all right for himself, yeah.
Yeah, he was freaking dirty.
You know, Mark's a great example, because you know, I remember Mark was a senior in high school when I was just starting out in college coaching at Iowa Central Community College, and you know, Mark doesn't remember this, but I vividly remember recruiting Mark, you know, at the junior college level, because you know, he's tall, lanky, you know, his arm really worked, but it hadn't really hit it yet, you know, and we thought that was a guy that, you know, if we get him here, you know, we can, you know, watch this guy develop, and maybe after 2 years or a year or two, you know, he could sign, you know, out of junior college. And we thought we had a chance at him. And, you know, obviously he made the right decision coming to Michigan State, playing for, you know, Ted Mahan and his pitching coach and Greg Gunderson. And those guys did a heck of a job developing that guy. And all of a sudden he's the second pick in the first round. And, you know, those are the kind of guys that obviously everybody wants, right? But, you know, those are the kind of guys that, you know, we feel like, you know, we're trying to find and develop and get them, you know, to a place where, you know, or help them get to a place where, you know, they can put themselves in a position to play some pro ball and kind of realize their dreams. So,
yeah, definitely remember him. So, all right, we got a couple questions coming in, Coach. University of Michigan has been recruiting out of the Chicago RBI program. They are now recruiting in their own backyard with the inner city kids from Detroit. They just had 2 big commits from Detroit, one in the 2022 class and one from the 2024 class. Have you recruited Detroit baseball players? If not, would you be interested? I can get you some film tonight, tomorrow at the latest.
Well, Lorenzo, I would say send me the film, because I'm always, you know, always looking. We're always looking. And of course, you know, we've recruited in Detroit. We're currently recruiting in Detroit. You know, and you know, I think the RBI program in Chicago has done a heck of a job. And then you look at some of the kids that are now starting to come out of Detroit from you know, some of those schools that are not in the Catholic League, and kids are really starting to develop. And so, yeah, to answer your question, I can't get into specifics, obviously, with NCAA rules, but yes, you know, we'll recruit the Detroit area. We'll recruit the Lansing, Grand Rapids area. We're going to recruit wherever there's good talent. And, you know, there's starting to be more and more, you know, good talent, you know, popping up all over the place with the RBI program. One of our kids, Zaid Walker, from Homewood Flossmoor in the Chicago area, was part of that RBI program. And, you know, he's going to be a heck of a player for us. It was a draft out of high school. And a late draft out of high school, and is you know, a right fielder for us right now. And he's a kid that's got a really, really bright future, you know, ahead of him. So yeah, I think again, you know, we're going to go where the good players are, and we're going to do what we can do to, you know, to get those guys on campus.
All right, and Lorenzo, I'll get coach's information on Twitter or whatever he uses at the end of it to post on there. So anything that you use for those parents that want to, or coaches that want to send you some film, coach, you know.
Absolutely.
All right. Jay Meyer says, how often do you look into the state of Wisconsin for recruits?
Well, every year, you know, we've got a kid that's moving into campus in 2 days named Nick Smith, who's a right-handed pitcher from the Wisconsin area. When we won the Big Ten championship in 2011, we had a kid at shortstop from Madison Tech Junior College named Justin Scanlon, who was a shortstop for us for 2 years and did a heck of a job. So again, I think you know, you look in the Midwest, you know, states like Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, obviously Ohio. You know, those are the states that we really try to, you know, get into and kind of target first before we kind of branch out nationally. But again, you know, there are a lot of programs that are doing a really, really good job of developing guys from states that, you know, that are, I guess, technically cold weather states. And, you know, we've got a lot of connections in Wisconsin as well. So, you know, same answer, I guess. We're going to go where our good players are.
All right. Love it. Love it. We got Russ says, Coach, I see a lot of kids on your roster that redshirt. Do kids have to ask to redshirt, or is that part of your recruiting strategy? More schools should allow redshirting so kids can get 2 degrees in 5 years.
Yeah, Russ, a little bit of both. You know, I mean, I think with COVID, obviously everybody got like technically a red shirt, but that's something that, you know, kind of leads to a red shirt when a guy gets hurt. But at the same time, you know, again, we recruited a kid named Dakota Mekas a number of years ago. He was in AAA with the Cubs, knocking on the door of the big leagues. Cam Views, another one, left-handed pitcher that came to us as you know, as a recruited walk-on that redshirted. Now is in AAA with the Pirates. You know, so guys like that have you know, that just need a little bit of time. And so, you know, we evaluate them during the fall. We'll sit down with them after the fall and have that conversation. Now, you know, I think it's important that if the player doesn't want a red shirt, I'm not going to force him to, you know, because obviously we don't deal in full scholarships, right? And so if I'm asking a kid, you know, maybe an out-of-state kid to pay for an extra year, you know, out of pocket, and then he's not able to, you know, okay, so be it. Then that's something that if he's not excited about it, then we won't do it. But he's got to understand also coming in that, you know, there's not going to be, you know, may not be a whole lot of opportunities, which is why we wanted a red shirt, you know, in the first place. And so if the kid's not on board, if the parents aren't on board, you know, then we're not going to do it, you know, because I think they have to be excited about taking that extra year to develop.
All right. We have Joy says, with all that bad weather, when does your season start, Coach?
Well, we usually start in our first home game is usually mid-March. You know, the second, third week in March. We're one of the few schools in our conference that does not have artificial turf, but we do have a heating system underneath our infield that is absolutely incredible, and that allows us to get out on our infield, you know, with 6 inches of snow in the outfield. But you know, we can take ground balls and have us play a simulated game in the end of January. So, you know, typically, you know, when the season starts, like this past year, we started on Valentine's Day. So February 14th, and we'll go on the road for probably 4 weeks, 4 weeks, and then start to open up at home at that point. So I did see in the previous comment, Brandon Doherty was that guy's son's infield coach, and Brandon was there. It is. Yeah, Brandon Doherty was here before I got here. I remember Brandon though. He played really hard and could really run. He was a good player, and we keep in touch quite a bit. Yeah, Brandon Doherty is a good man. So Abram, tell him I said hello when you talk to him, please.
All right, heard that, Abram. All right. So speaking of that 2 or 3 weeks in February, do you guys make that up in home games? Like when you get back home, do you kind of like spend the month at home just to even out being on the road so long?
It depends. I mean, obviously, we play 4 conference, road weekends and 4 at home. And so, we'll try to play the other, if we have another couple weekends, we'll try to play, a bye week at home. We try to play most of our midweeks at home. We do have a couple home and home with, some of the directional schools in the state that, have got good relationships with those guys. My former assistant is former player of mine, and a former assistant is now the head coach at Eastern Michigan. And so, we'll do a home and home with him. A former assistant of mine's a head coach at Western Michigan. So we'll do a home and home with them, as well. Try to play as many home games as possible. It works out to, in a good year, we'll have 25 or 26 home games. But you're usually playing, your first 14, 15 games at least on the road, until the weather kind of breaks up here in the north.
Yeah, I'm now. Let me see. We got a question that came in. Do you allow your players also to play football at MSU if they wanted to?
We do. We have a kid right now, a kid named Adam Berghorst, who we Coach D'Antonio and I both recruited. He came on a football scholarship as a defensive end. They moved him to tight end. And as a true freshman, he got about 20, 25, 30 snaps, whatever it was, in the bowl game last year. And so, we recruited another young man named Jace Bowen who signed a letter of intent, but ended up being a pretty high draft pick and signed a pro contract with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And so, so we've recruited guys. We have currently one kid who's a football, baseball guy. And really, I had a good conversation with Mike Martin at Florida State about this because he had a couple pretty good ones. Jameis Winston was all right. Deion Sanders did okay for himself. And we were talking about that, and he's right. Coach Martin said, you have to have a football coach who's on board and willing to do it, and he's absolutely right. And we've been fortunate that first Coach D'Antonio and now Coach Tucker are both on board with it, and they really want to see the kid kind of realize their dreams and let them live that out. And so it's been great on our part, because we get while we don't get him in the fall, and the young man, it takes a special young man to do it because they got it's a balancing act. There's only so many hours in the day. There's only so many hours in a week that the NCAA lets you have a guy and work with him. And so, these guys really got to be organized. They got to be able to handle their business. And Adam, the guy that we had last year, has been able to do that. And I think he's got a chance to be a really good one for us on the mound.
Now, when a kid plays 2 sports, he plays a full football schedule, but when he goes into the spring, is he missing games because of spring football or anything like that? But does he play a full spring schedule?
Yeah, well, again, it's up to the football coach, and I think at some places I've heard, there's been a little bit of both. Obviously, young man's on a football scholarship, and those are what the rules state as far as NCAA rules are concerned. If you're playing, if you're getting scholarship money, it's got to come from football. So, I would put myself in the football coach's shoes. If I've given this kid a football scholarship, then I'm going to try to keep him as much as I can. And so, we were in the process of working that out with Adam, our guy, when COVID hit and they shut the season down. But essentially, I think there would have been going through our schedule. There would have been a couple midweek games that Adam would have probably had to miss. But being a pitcher, and we were kind of grooming him to hopefully start. And so as a starting pitcher, it really would have been a lot easier, I think, to work with as opposed to maybe a shortstop or your 3-hole hitter in the outfield, something like that. So moving forward, we'll see. But again, it's up to the football coach. And if you got a football coach that like ours is, who really, pulls for your program and wants to see you be successful, then, you'll work it out.
All right. The Lauren says, are you done with the 2023s?
Always looking. Yeah. Again, it's, again, we probably move a little bit slower than a lot of other people. So, once the I would say the 22s, the 23s, the 24s, even, we're always looking. And so I guess the answer to that question would be no, we're not done.
Okay. Now, being in the Power Five, being in COVID, I'm sure, camps and stuff, you get a large turnout. I know pretty much, everybody's saying they're hoping for October, and I know you guys are going to be practicing this stuff, but as far as outside camps and, opportunities there, when are you thinking that you can hold a prospect camp or do anything like that?
That's $1 million question, D. We just had a conversation about that this morning with our athletic director. I wish I had an answer, but we don't right now. We're still working on it, and a lot is. I think you hear it, from Dr. Fauci, and you hear it from all the governors and everybody else. I mean, it's really the virus is going to dictate what we can and can't do, and so. If we're able to, if our state allows us to do that, if our president of our university allows us to do that, then we'll do as many camps as we possibly can to try to get eyes on as many guys as we can. And, the other side of it too, we like, we're pretty proud of what we got. We like to showcase, kind of what we have, to people by running a camp like that. And so, if we're able to, then by all means we will. When we're able to, we usually do a series of fall camps. We usually do a winter camp or two as well in our indoor facility. And it's all up in the air, right now. So time will tell. And, when we have answers, we'll get it out there on our website. So.
Okay. All right. Didi says, would you recruit from North Carolina? I think you talked about it.
Our third baseman is from North Carolina. So I guess that would answer your question.
All right. All right. Would you consider class of 2023 from California? My son played in Oakland, California, and he's from Indiana. Mike is.
Well, again, we've got a first baseman moving in tomorrow from Pasadena, and so we'll go wherever the good players are to recruit. So again, I think the answer to that question also would be yes.
All right. All right. Let me see. You're gonna say yes to this too. Hey, do you have any other? Overnight prospect camps?
We do not. We do not do any overnight camps. Our summer camps. We do have 1 week of summer camps for prospects. It's not an overnight camp. We've kind of gotten away from the overnight camp here at Michigan State as far as using the dorms and things of that nature. So. We do provide hotel information for people though on our website, and the prospect camps that we do both in the fall and in the winter, same thing. They're usually just 1-day camps, and we'll try to put them guys through a workout in the morning, and then we'll play some type of game so we can kind of see them both work out and then see what what their skills are, in a live game situation. And even in the winter. We do we call it our pro scout camp. We'll bring in a couple pro guys and kind of give that side of it. But, pitchers will throw live to hitters and, or we've done it in the past and, gives guys an opportunity to really go out and compete, in that situation.
All right. So speaking of, I hear you talk about the indoor stuff like that. I know the winters is, tough to say the least out there in Michigan, but tell me a little about the facilities, man. I mean, you're a big time program, man. So I can only imagine weight rooms and fields and indoors and stuff like that. Tell me a little bit about your facilities, Coach.
Yeah. So at our field, we've got a hitting building down the left field line with 4 cages in it. We've got 2 dirt mounds in there that, we'll play live games in when we can't get outside. Really for our group, it's a perfect size, I think, for a team of 35 guys or, however many we're going to have this year. It's, a little bit bigger rosters this year, but, it's a perfect size. And then we've got a couple different weight rooms that we use. The primary weight room that we use when we're in there, we're the only team in there. And again, I think that's about the perfect size. It can, you probably get to 50 people in there, and it's fairly crowded. But I think the good thing about that is there's no place to hide. I think the there are days where we'll go over to the football weight room, maybe twice a week and work out in there. And, you don't have too many guys, but every once in a while you have a guy that thinks he can hide a little bit, and because the room is so big. And, I think our seniors, our leaders, usually do a pretty good job of noticing that when it does happen, though. So a couple different weight rooms that we're able to use. And then we've got an indoor football building that has a full-size football field with an extra 5 yards around the perimeter on it, that you can really do just about anything in, with the exception of inter squad. And so, guys can come in the morning and throw long. When there's snows on the ground, they can, come in and get extra ground balls on the turf in there. We also have a turf field outside that if we need to, we'll get the snow plowed off of there if we get a decent day and in January or February, so we can get out and take ground balls off the turf outside as well. So, yeah, I think our facilities are as good as you can get, we think, for a northern school. I think baseball is baseball, though. I think the mindset that our guys have, and most teams in our conference and up here in the north is, we're not going to let the weather kind of deter us from getting ready. We're not going to let it deter us from getting ready to go play. And, we'll go outside and, if it's really cold outside, but the sun is out and there's no snow on the turf, we'll go out, and we may not be out there for 3 hours, but, we'll go out in spurts, and, we're going to play in some cold weather. I think we got to work out in it. And, you usually don't hear guys complaining, at all. I think guys, because we recruit, with that idea of getting that tougher, hard-nosed kid that doesn't really care. And, guys just want to go out and play. And so it's fun to work with guys like that, for sure.
No doubt about it. It's funny. I laugh because you say, if it's a nice day out here, we get the snow blower and we blow the snow to the side and get some work in. Yeah, a nice day. Yeah, 35 degrees and 40 degrees in the wintertime is a nice day out there in Michigan.
Guarantee, if it's 35 degrees, I guarantee you we'll be outside. Guarantee it, 100%.
Russ says, how are Michigan and Michigan State able to get black players and the rest of the Power Five not able to? Michigan State has a long history of signing black players in basketball and football. What is attractive to black players to attend Michigan and Michigan State, especially with the issue with Flint?
Well, it's a great question, and I don't want to speak for anybody else in the Power Five. I can tell you, that for us and at our place at Michigan State, you go back to the days of Duffy Doherty, in the football coach here in the 50s and 60s, who really kind of led the way as far as integrating college football. It's a name that not a lot of people know, but he was one of the first guys to bring up guys like Bubba Smith from the South, and a bunch of other guys that unfortunately I'm drawing a blank on their names right now, but Baba Pisa is a guy that's in the College Football Hall of Fame. And, these guys had great careers in college football, but really there weren't many, African-American players in college football at the time. And so, we've got a very strong history of that, I think, at Michigan State. And on the baseball side of it, we're trying like crazy to really kind of diversify our roster as best we can, while still finding that good fit, for Michigan State. I think that's something that's pretty important. And, we've got a handful of minority guys on our team right now. A couple of them, coming in as freshmen, but, I think at the same time, I think, your roster can always, we can always do a better job. I think of providing kids opportunities, and some of it can be financial, with different grants and financial aid and things like that a university could offer. I can only speak to what we do at Michigan State, and I think we try like crazy, and we work hard, at getting guys that are the right fit, whether they're African American or not. And I think that's something that's always been a priority for us. and will continue to be a priority for us.
All right. Is it more of a Flint thing, which maybe tend to lean towards the African American community, or is it as a whole with the whole scandal that happened with the gymnastics coach? Doctor, has that affected you guys when it come to recruiting over the last year or two?
Not really. I mean, at the time, and it was certainly a tragedy that went down here with that gymnastics doctor. At the same time, on the baseball side of it, I wouldn't have known that who that guy was if he walked in the room before he hit the press. And so, he worked with the gymnastics program. He didn't work with the baseball program. And so we were pretty sheltered and isolated from that. Outside of obviously a number of our guys and myself included, knowing and having relationships with a lot of these victims, and it's just absolutely tragic event that happened. One that certainly was a black eye, for our university, and something that and rightly so. I mean, it should have never happened, and it's unfortunate that it did. And there are a lot of people whose lives have been, really hurt because of that, and that's a shame. And and again, on the baseball side of it, though, that was really we were pretty far removed from that. And the issue with Flint with the water crisis there, again, it's a really really tough deal up there, and there haven't been, for whatever reasons, I guess many, players, it kind of goes in cycles, I mean, it's, we had a cycle maybe that there weren't too many, players coming out of Flint, at that time, and that can always shift. I mean, you again, look at what the RBI program is doing in Chicago. You look at some of the talent that's coming out of Detroit now. A lot of that stuff does go in cycles, and hopefully that, that there will be a cycle coming out of Flint and Saginaw, up there in the thumb area of the state of Michigan that, we'll again produce some talent that where guys have an opportunity to play at a high level.
All right. Let me get this in here. Joy says, "Who do you prefer to hear from? Your parent, travel ball coach, recruiting service, or a player?"
Player, 100%. 100%. I'm not recruiting the parent. I'm not recruiting the travel coach, and I'm not, I'm not paying for the recruiting service. So I want to hear from the player. If the player is interested in Michigan State, that's what I want to know. I think because every parent, myself included, I've got 3 kids. I'm going to tell you my 3 kids are better than your 3 kids, and you're going to do the same thing to me, because that's what we do as parents. We love our kids, and we want the best for the parent or for our kids. The travel ball coach is not going to call me up and tell me how bad his player is. He's going to tell me, that this is one of the best guys that he's seen and he's ever coached, and that's great. I mean, hopefully that's true. But a lot of those recommendations sometimes can get a little skewed, and that's nobody's fault, because I think that travel ball coach is genuinely trying to sell, his player. And I want the player to sell himself, to be honest with you. I want to have a chance to evaluate the player, take all the information that we have from the travel coach, from the high school coach. The recruiting service, I guess, is fine. But if the recruiting service can't provide me with any video, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you have to see it for yourself, and so we have to be able to kind of back all of those opinions up, and there's no way to do that other than to go out and see a kid play. So, apart from seeing a kid play, if a young man wants to come to Michigan State, I want to know that guy's passionate about Michigan State, because I'm going to coach that kid for 3, hopefully only 3 years, but 3, 4, possibly even 5 years if a kid gets hurt or red shirts. And so I want to know what kind of a guy that we're recruiting, what kind of a guy that I'm getting. And I can't get that I can't get that from the parent. I can't get that from the recruiting service. And I think it's important that, we tell our guys the same thing. I tell my kids the same thing, but you got to handle your own business, and I think, and D, you can speak to that when you get to pro ball, mom and dad aren't going to be there, when you're in pro ball. And maybe you have an agent, maybe you don't. But, at the same time, if you don't handle your own business, you're not going to be around for too long. And I'm sure you can speak to guys that have been extremely talented, that have been extremely, capable of getting to the big leagues that never made it because they can't handle their business. So right. I want those guys that can handle their business.
I don't understand, because it's just like this, stigma, or I don't know if that's a proper word to use, but it's always like, I just had a comment, I talk to parents all the time, and I'm always talking to the parents. They're active, they're hardcore, which I love, you know what I'm saying? But you get on the phone with the kid and they half sleepy, half talking, half you know what I'm saying? No, you know what I'm saying? Is that something where, that's why I'm glad you say this thing, because a platform like this is why I try to help parents and have them coach their kids up and like how to present themselves in front of you, you know what I'm saying? So you don't sound like, oh, Michigan State is just, some other school I ain't got no time for, you know what I'm saying? But you may really go there, but they don't want to know how to talk, to the coach. They don't understand, they don't how to communicate, well, nervousness, or sometimes kids are just flat out sleepy tired, have no.
Yeah. Well, when we're talking to a kid on the phone, we talk about this in our office all the time. I'm trying to figure out how this kid is going to react when it's the bottom of the 8th inning and we've got a 2-1 lead and we're playing at Nebraska in a great atmosphere in front of 8,000 people. And, if this young man is a mature young man and can handle himself on the phone, then I got a pretty good idea that he's going to be able to handle himself in that tough situation. We're trying to figure out how a young man is going to handle himself if we're playing in a regional, or hosting a regional, and it's, we got 5,000 people there screaming and cheering. Is this kid going to crumble, or is this kid going to be a guy that's going to, kind of take the bull by the horns, so to speak, and lead us to victory? And those are the kind of guys that we want. And I think you can tell a lot, with that first impression. You can tell a lot of that first phone call. Do I have to draw words and sentences out of this kid, or is he truly interested in Michigan State? Is this a young man who, when he shakes my hand when I meet him for the first time, gives me a strong grip and looks me in the eye? And I think that first impression is extremely important. And it's not always the case, but I think it's a pretty good indicator. That's why I think the relationship piece of it is so important. You have to get to know, who you're dealing with. And I think that's why we move a little bit more slowly than maybe some other schools do in recruiting, because, I really want to know what I'm getting, and if I make a commitment to a kid who's a freshman in high school, I'm going to stick with that commitment. I'm not breaking that commitment. I'm not going to tell the kid, no. If I've made a mistake in recruiting, then, we try to preach ownership to our guys. Then, well, I'm going to own that, and it's my job to, because I've made a commitment to you, it's my job to help you get better now and help us. But at the same time, that we've tried to take that time to really get to know who we're recruiting, and try to get an idea of what that kid's going to be able to do in a tough situation. And not only on the field. If this kid's out on a Thursday night or a Friday night and gets himself into a situation where, there could be some trouble, well, is this kid going to be man enough to turn around and walk away because he's got a lot at stake? Or is this kid going to be, the guy that's going to get himself into more trouble, put himself into another bad situation, which you could jeopardize himself, his scholarship, or maybe the health and safety of somebody else, because I don't want that guy.
Great points, Coach. I ain't gonna lie, man. Great points. Jacob says, is having a player have their graduation year reclassified a good idea if they are a late August birthday?
It's up to you, really. I think that's not a question for me. I think that's a question for you and your family. I think, if you have certain goals and ambitions and maybe they're not being realized, then maybe that is a good thing, for you. And if you're in a spot where, you're happy with where you're at, and you're comfortable with where you're at, then maybe it's not. But I don't know that I I think we too often make decisions based on, athletics and, a situation here or a situation there, or even, scholarship money here or there. I think, I've got 2 kids in college now myself, and we've got a 12-year-old who's 6 years away. So we're trying to prepare her even a little bit, but I think it's really about the fit. I think it's about where you can see yourself spending the next 3 or 4 years of your life. And what happens if you get hurt? Because we don't ever want our guys walking down the street thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get hurt today." But at the same time, you've got to find a place where you're going to be comfortable if there is no baseball. If you take baseball out of the mix, is this a place where I can see myself? And I did it. My daughter, and son both play at Division III schools. They both play athletics there. My daughter plays volleyball and softball. My son is going to play baseball at Division III school, and that's what we said. Is this a situation where if something happens where you get hurt and you can't ever play again, can you see yourself, at this school? And I really think that's the approach to take. Having 2 kids of my own, I think a lot of times we get caught up in scholarship money or even Division I versus Division II, Division III, whatever that different level. You find a place that's a comfortable fit for you where you can see yourself if the game is taken away, and if you don't have that opportunity, then yeah, maybe reclassifying is a good thing for you. But if you do, then maybe it's not. I don't know. That's up to each individual and each situation.
All right. Good information, Coach. All right. Find a spot that you don't, if you get hurt or something happens, that you don't mind still staying there and getting a degree from. All right. Message of the day.
That's right.
How does the cancellation of Big Ten football impact baseball recruiting? This may have been covered, but I am curious about funding for the baseball program. Thanks, Mark.
Well, I'll tell you this, across the country, it's not just at Michigan State. It's not in the Big Ten. Football drives the ship. Football is where, every department makes their money. And if we don't play football, then there's a lot of schools that are going to be hurting financially, and that's the reality of it. Unfortunately, you saw Furman's program get cut. You saw Bowling Green's program get cut and fortunately, brought back. I don't think at a Power 5, conference, I don't think there are any Big Ten schools that are in jeopardy of that at all. I don't know if there are any Power 5 schools that are in jeopardy of losing their conference or their baseball program. But I think a lot of the mid-majors could be, and I think that would be a really sad thing. You hate to see a program get dropped. Unfortunately the money talks, right now. And so, we're praying like crazy that we can play football, in the spring, because if we play football in the spring, that helps offset some of those costs. And, then I think we're able to play in the spring, but if there's no spring football even, then you start to think about, well, is baseball going to be able to play too? And, we just don't know. Again, the virus is going to dictate all of this. And hopefully we're able to get this thing figured out here and get some type of vaccine and get back to some kind of normal season.
Well, you guys been hit extremely hard with the virus over there in Michigan, man. I mean, and the governor over there, she ain't playing over there.
No, she's not. No, she's not. She went after it pretty hard early. And I think, you hate to make it political, right? Because that's as far away as, I don't want to get into any type of political discussion, at all. I would say we took a hard stance here in our state early, and I think it paid some dividends. Our university president has taken a hard stance, just recently going to online classes. I think, leaders just have to do that. You have to make some tough decisions that may not be the popular ones, but, as a leader, if that's what you believe is in the best, the best situation for where you are, for your university or your state, then those are the decisions that you make. And, I'm certainly, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, and I'm just a baseball coach, and I'm ready, willing, and able to admit that. So, if I trust our leaders and they're in those positions for a reason, and that's what they say, then we're going to fall in line.
I mean, so you're saying if you don't play football in the spring, then there's a good chance that baseball too?
Well, that's a good question. It's possible. I mean, I think, if you look at it objectively, and not only in the Big Ten, but wherever else, you're playing, I think, our game obviously is different than football, but from a financial perspective, if you're losing all that money by not playing football, and if you don't play football, I don't know how you can play basketball, other than keeping your kids in a bubble, and we've had university presidents and chancellors come out and talk about how the bubble concept maybe for basketball is completely against what the framework is for, the college experience and the college academic experience. So, I mean, you hate to go worst case scenario, but I truly believe that we're going to play football in the spring, and which, then would lead to our season. But, I don't think right now, I don't think you think anything is off the table. I think you got to prepare for just about anything right now. And then unfortunately, that's one of the things that you prepare for. But, I think from a health and safety perspective, you see it happening in the big leagues. They're able to play and have relatively, I guess, there's been a couple shutdowns maybe with a couple different teams, but by and large, I mean, they've been able to do it and do it successfully. And I think we'd be able to see the same thing for us.
All right. Russ says, has Magic Johnson invited you all out to LA to play in Dodger Stadium against USC and UCLA? Rose Bowl rivalry for baseball will be exciting. Michigan State go to LA and play once a year. Bring some excitement to baseball.
Magic is an unbelievable guy. So Magic and I went to the same high school, about 10 years apart. But my dad taught at the high school. So, I've known Magic. Now, I'm not going to tell you that me and Magic are boys and that we're really tight, but I know Magic a little bit, enough to say hello. And, we did talk about, we were out there playing in Southern California at UCLA a couple years ago. And we were trying to get a practice set up in Dodger Stadium, and logistically it didn't work out. They were doing some work on the field, but yeah, we've had some of those conversations in the past, and hopefully down the road, maybe someday we'll be able to do something like that. But I would tell you, Magic has been incredible for Michigan State. I mean, and incredible for this area. He still comes back. His parents live in the area. He still comes back for holidays and, several times during the course of the year, and helps raise money for for different scholarships for Lansing City kids. And, just an unbelievable guy with a passion, not only for basketball and for Lansing, but for Michigan State.
All right, good deal. Why do schools say they don't have money when they have billions in endowments? Why are sports cut?
Well, I mean, that's it's a question for each individual school. I know a lot of times maybe that endowment money is not able to be touched because, you're living off the interest that you collect out there. And so, some of the questions I know surrounding, maybe some sports being cut, maybe at Stanford or some other places. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm only
surprised to hear about Stanford.
I was too a little bit. At the same time, I'm the baseball coach at Michigan State. That's what I'm concerned with. And, so again, there's a lot of people making a lot more money than me that are a heck of a lot smarter than me that are making those decisions. It's tough anytime you see a program cut, regardless of the sport. You hate to see that. You hate to see young kids losing opportunities like that. So it is a tough deal. I don't know the answer to that question. I wish I did.
I know, we haven't gotten into this, but I know Michigan State is a pretty big school. As far as so let's get into that. Should have asked it earlier, but as far as the amount of kids enrollment each year, and let's talk about pricing in and out of state, please.
Yeah, so we've got roughly 50,000 students at Michigan State, and I want to say
top five, right? Top
five? I think so. I don't know the exact numbers, but I think us and Ohio State are two of the bigger schools in the country. I think it's roughly 32 to 35,000 undergraduates, and then another 15,000 graduate students, roughly. And then pricing for an in-state kid, I think tuition, room and board, books and fees, so the whole package is right around 26,000, and then it's about twice that for an out-of-state kid. We do a pretty good job, I think, of with out-of-state kids and different grants and scholarships and aid, as far as there being some academic money available, and to try to knock that that price down a little bit. And some of it kind of depends on what state you're from as well. But yeah, that's pretty much the breakdown. It's higher education's not cheap anymore. It's and we're no different. So but there's a lot of students here, and I think it's a good mix though, because I think a lot of students equals a lot of different maybe opportunities academically. I think you get into your sport, you get into your kind of your family, baseball family, athletic department family. Michigan State gets smaller quickly. I think we have 700 athletes or something like that. At the same time, once you get into your major, as far as school is concerned, that it gets smaller again very quickly. So you take 50,000 students, but now if I'm a business major or communications major, I'm really just kind of around those people in that major. So there are hundreds of different opportunities as far as majors are concerned. I think that's a result of having a big institution with 50,000 students. I think that's when you have that many students, you have to provide that many different opportunities for different degrees, and we have that here. So you can get a degree in just about anything, I think, nowadays, and a lot of times you can create your own. And again, I think that's what happens at a large school.
Now, what is Michigan State known for when it comes to academics? Anything in particular they're kind of known for?
Well, education. The School of Education is one of the tops in the country, one of the tops in the world, actually. The College of Business is also one of the tops in the country, and then we have a tremendous packaging department, and food industry management is another one that's really big. And so, yeah, a lot of different areas where we're very, very highly regarded.
Okay. Galen says, have you ever been recruiting a student athlete and his parents were screaming and yelling out that turned you off from recruiting the player?
Yes, that has happened. And, I think, I think, as parents, and again, as a parent myself, we love our kids, and I think there's a difference though, between loving on your kid, and being passionate about what's going on in the field, and then, being so emotionally involved that, you embarrass your kid. And I think that happens, unfortunately. How a parent treats their high school coach and talks about their high school coach is a window to how that parent is going to treat and talk about me. And I don't think they realize that, and everybody's your best friend when your son's in the lineup, but I've got 35 guys on the team. We've all got 35 guys and only 9 of them can play. And so, if a parent is going to, cause some discord, I think that does a couple things. I think it puts your son in a really, really tough spot. That's what we don't want to have in our program. We call them clubhouse lawyers. And I don't want to have any clubhouse lawyers. We cannot have a divided locker room. And so if there's a problem there, then we're going to sit down and deal with it. At the same time, I encourage all of our parents. My phone is just is right there on my desk, and my cell phone's in my pocket 24 hours a day. And you call me anytime, and I'm happy to have any type of conversation with you about your son, about playing time, about scholarship money, about any of that. We will have that conversation. But your son's going to be in the room when we have that conversation. We'll do it on speakerphone, and it'll be the 4 of us. It'll be me, mom, and dad, and your son. And at that point, sometimes they take me up on that. Sometimes it changes a little bit, and please don't tell Johnny that I'm calling. And at that point,
they don't want that. They don't want. They don't want the truth sometimes, Coach. You know,
we all want our kids. We all want what's best, what we think is best for our kids. You know, and I think a lesson that I'm learning with my kids that it's growing up to, that sometimes what I want is not what they want, and sometimes they're completely fine in a situation where I wouldn't be, and at that point, I've got to be able to step back, and I've got to be able to let my kids fight their own battles. Number one, and I've got to be able, number two, to let my kids enjoy and have their own experience. This is not my experience. This is my kids' experience. And, I went through a little bit when, like I said, when I played, I wasn't a very good player, and I thought I was really getting hosed on playing time. And I called my dad, who had a relationship with my college coach. And I remember I said, why don't you call him for me? And my dad went up one side of me and down the other, and basically told me, that you're crazy if you think I'm calling your coach about playing time. It's the best thing that my dad could ever done for me, because it forced me to go in and have that hard conversation. And I was better for it. I was a better player for it. And I think I understood some things a little bit differently after having that conversation with the coach. And again, it goes back to what we talked about before. We talk about recruiting. Do I want to hear from the player's parents, the recruiting service, or the kid? I don't want to hear from anybody other than the kid, because you're the one that's going to be playing for me. And if you have a problem, I need to know that you're going to be comfortable enough to come in, sit down like a man, shut the door, and go, Coach, this is what I feel. And then we can have a conversation about that.
I love it, Coach. Love it, man. DD asks, you got a couple more questions, Coach, and I'm gonna get you up out of here, man.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Right. DD asks, what do you look for in a player?
Well, I think first and foremost, we're looking for a guy who's going to represent our program well. Who's going to represent our program, our athletic department, and our university really well. And I think, I think what gets lost a lot of times in the recruiting process, and I don't want this taken the wrong way, but there are a lot of really good players out there. I mean, a lot of really good players. And so, when we go out and look for a kid, we feel good about being able to find a talented kid, anywhere, really, in the state of Michigan. I think we can find him. My recruiting coordinator, Graham Sykes, is, beating the bushes and looking for guys, and he finds these guys from, the middle of nowhere that can end up really playing. I mean, he does a great job for us. There are kids out there with a lot of talent. What I'm looking for is that kid that's going to represent our program, our university, and our athletic department really well. Looking for a guy that's going to work hard in the classroom. I don't need him to be a 4.0 student, but I need him to work hard, and I need him to take it seriously. And if he works hard and he's a 2.5 student, but he works his tail off for it, then I'll take that, But I need a guy that's going to do the same thing on the field too. He's going to work hard. He's going to play the game the right way. He's going to kind of take a blue collar approach, and again, just represent, us, because they understand we tell them right away, when you get to Michigan State, you represent me and my family, and you represent our assistant coaches and their families, and you represent, your high school coach and his family. I mean, there's a lot of people that you represent, and our guys do a pretty good job of representing us, really, really well. And, so, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it without talking about talent. I mean, we're going to get on social media and we're going to check you out. We're going to get to your Twitter page and Instagram and, and all that other stuff. And we're going to try to get an idea who you really are. And is that a guy that I want to have around our program every day?
I love it. Coach, I wanted to, I'm going to say, Jay Meyer, I'm going to save your question for last. And, just a few things. Parents, I'm locking down locations in Atlanta, Memphis, September 26th in the Memphis area, October 10th in Orlando, Florida, and November 6th to 13th in the Waco, Texas area. We are doing showcases. Hopefully I could get, Coach Boss over there to, when I can send him the streaming link, he could peek in and see some talent down here, And, shameless plug.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm doing it, Coach. I'm sending you the link. I hope I can get you one Saturday out of the mix and take a look. But anyway, I'll have that information for you. Also, tomorrow I will have Stanley Stubbs. We're going down to Mississippi West College down in Holly Springs, Mississippi. All right, HBCU school. All right, we're going boom up here, and then we're going down there. And so, Coach, man, I'm gonna save this. Mark, if you can, please call about the showcases, please. All right. September 26th. All right, for the showcases. All right, Coach. Probably message me, you guys, if you haven't wanted any information, please. Jay Meyer, Coach. I always have my coaches, my guys at the end give a great message. All right, to take us home with. Okay. And before you save that message. Social media, how do you want the parents to reach out to you, Coach? Is it via email or Twitter? What's the best way so I can post it, please?
Yeah, social media is great. My Twitter is at BossJake, BossJake. I'm on Facebook a little bit, not a whole lot. But my email as well. Email is a great way to do it as well. My email is jakeBoss@ath.msu.edu. So those are probably the two best ways. Either by email or direct message on Twitter is fine as well. Email is probably the best. At the same time, the NCAA has certain rules with regard to who we can reply to as far as emails are concerned and social media. So, if I don't reply, to you, it's probably because I'm not able to by NCAA rules.
All right. I will post Coach's email. He kind of went fast, and things are slow over here. I will get it out to you. All right. So, Coach, last question of the day, man, and I want you to take us out on this. All right. So, my boy Jay Meyer from Wisconsin, up your way a little bit. All right. What kind of advice would you give a young kid that has goals of playing college baseball?
Well, I'll tell you, D, it's the same advice that we give our guys that have goals and aspirations of playing pro baseball. I think it's something that we preach to them every single day. It's something that they see on the wall of our hitting building before they walk out. It's right by the door. And one of the tenets of our program is we tell our guys, they see it on our practice plan every day. But it's three words, and it's impress somebody today. And that's really what we try to do. Every time we take the field, our guys have to understand, that, and I think I'm a pretty good, I have a pretty good testimony, I guess, maybe when it comes to this, because I grew up here in Michigan State, and I remember going to watch Kirk Gibson play. And I remember going to watch all these guys when I was just a kid. And I mean, these guys were like Superman to me, these guys were 10 feet tall and bulletproof. And, my dad was a high school coach, so I grew up in the dugout, and, my favorite player was just an average high school guy, but I thought this guy, was Babe Ruth, growing up. And so, you have an opportunity to impress somebody every time that you take the field, and you have to understand that somebody is going to see you play for the very first time every single time you walk out of that dugout and take the field. And so what kind of an impression are you leaving with them? Because for our guys, I really want that impression to be, our field sits right in the middle of campus. And so every day during practice, people will come by, they'll hear the bat hit the ball, they'll hear the music for BP, and people will come up and sit in the stands and watch. And, I tell our guys, you don't have any idea who that person is. We've had general managers of big league teams come up and sit down in our stands and watch a practice on a Tuesday afternoon in the fall. We've had scouting directors come. We've had alumni that are CEOs of major Fortune 500 corporations come up there and sit down. And you don't know why they're there. They might be there just to watch practice, but if I take that approach where I'm going to leave a lasting impression on somebody, maybe that CEO goes home and sends our athletic director an email saying, hey, give me the baseball coach's number because number 22 out there really showed some impressive leadership. I want to see what that kid's all about. And maybe that leads to a job someday. Who knows? Maybe there's a kid in the stands that wants to play, big league baseball someday, and all of a sudden patterns his game after the way you play, So, impress, having that idea that somebody's going to see you play for the very first time every day, and the idea that we want to leave a positive, lasting impression on them, I think is something that if we can do that every day, then, the wins and losses are going to take care of themselves. Pro ball is going to take care of itself. You never know who's watching. And so you can have a great day and nobody sees it. You can have a bad day, nobody sees it, but you can have a great day and all it takes is one guy. And the next thing you know, you could be like a D Brown playing in the big leagues, so I think you always have to have that approach that we want to leave a lasting impression, a lasting positive impression on somebody because somebody new is going to see you play every day.
And listen, great. Thank you, Coach Boyles. That's a great message. I ain't got nothing else to say with that. All right. You never know who's watching. All right. It don't matter what level, 8 years old, 13, 23. It don't matter. All right.
That's right.
Always come. You just never know, man. Great message. I ain't gonna say no more to that. Coach, man, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much, man. This means the world to me. Great learning about Michigan State baseball. I will be in contact with you, man, and hopefully, get up there one day. Great. I ain't never been to Lansing. I told Lansing, and
let's go, man. Come on.
I know, man. I gotta make my way. I've heard a lot of good things about Lansing, and my boy's wife is from Lansing, and he met her at playing for the Lugnuts,
Right.
So you need to come on out one day.
I appreciate the opportunity, D. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it, Coach Boyles. Thank you, brother.
Right.
So tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, parents, all right, come there. We got Coach Suggs from Russ College, all right? 4 p.m. Eastern. See you guys. Love you guys. Thanks, Coach.
You bet, man. Thank you. That was fun.
Definitely, brother.